When we think of the ministry of the priesthood, we think of bringing the offerings of the people before the Lord. When the tabernacle was dedicated and Aaron brought the first offerings before the Lord, he did so for himself and his sons as well as the collective children of Israel. The scriptures describe Aaron bringing the offerings for the people in Leviticus 9:15 through 17. Then he brought the people's offerings and took the goat, which was the sin offering for the people, and killed it and offered it for sin, like the first one. And he brought the burnt offerings and offered it according to the prescribed manner. Then he brought the grain offering, took a handful of it, and burned it on the altar, beside the burnt sacrifice of the morning. Now, what happened after the required portion of the offerings are burnt on the altar? Parts of the offerings are set aside for the priesthood. Are these portions just part of the compensation package for the priesthood? Or is there a spiritual significance to these portions? I'm Dan Cathcart, and this is Shadows of the Messiah. Leviticus chapters 9 and 10 describe the first service that Aaron conducts as the high priest. It begins with Aaron offering a sin offering of a bull and a burnt offering of a ram for himself. Then Aaron brings the offering for the entire nation of Israel. He brought a sin offering of a goat, a burnt offering of a calf and a lamb, a peace sacrifice of a bull and a ram, and a minkah offering of grain mixed with oil. Afterwards, he and Moses blessed the people, and the fire of God fell on all the people. Leviticus 9:23 through 24. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of meeting and came out and blessed the people. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people, and fire came out from before the Lord and consumed the burnt offerings and the fat on the altar. When all the people saw it, they shouted and fell on their faces. Now it seems like the service ended right at this point. What could possibly follow the glory of the Lord entering the tabernacle? It may surprise you to find out that there were still requirements for the offering that had yet to be fulfilled. But these actions were delayed due to Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, bringing strange fire before the Lord. As a result, they were consumed in the fire of the Lord. Leviticus 10, verses 1 and 2. Then Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, each took his censer and put fire in it, put incense on it, and offered profane fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded them. So fire went out from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. When Aaron and his remaining sons set out to leave the tabernacle to carry out the remains of Nadab and Abihu, Moses stopped them because their task had not yet been completed. Leviticus 10, verse 7. You shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of meeting, lest you die, for the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses. God then spoke directly to Aaron, telling him that the ministry of the priesthood involves more than going through the rituals. Leviticus 10, 8 through 11. Then the Lord spoke to Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine or intoxicating drink, you nor your sons with you, when you go into the tabernacle of meeting, lest you die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that you may distinguish between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean, and that you may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which the Lord has spoken to them by the hand of Moses. The implication of these words are that Nadab and Abihu came into the tabernacle with their minds clouded from the effects of alcohol. As a result, they made a bad decision that resulted in their deaths. As we continue, it seems that they failed to discern between the holy and the unholy. Now there's an interesting wordplay in the Hebrew between an acceptable offering and the strange fire Nadab and Abihu brought that illustrates the difference between the holy and the unholy. When God first spoke to Moses out of the tabernacle, instructing him on how a person could draw near to him, he told Moses that a person was to bring an offering. In the Hebrew, the phrase translated as bringing an offering is literally karav korban, Numbers 71:26 and 71:33, meaning bring near, a brought near. The word profane, referring to the profane fire Nadab and Abihu brought, is the word zur, number 21:14, literally meaning to turn aside. That which God has declared as holy serves to draw one near to God, and that which is not holy serves to turn one aside from God. In addition to having the responsibility of discerning between holy and unholy, God told Aaron that he and his sons were to discern between what is clean and what is unclean. The details of those instructions followed this passage. So Moses kept Aaron and his remaining sons from leaving the tabernacle before completing their service. God spoke to Aaron about the care needed to serve him and the responsibilities of the priesthood to ensure that nothing unholy or unclean causes the inadvertent death of one of the children of Israel. Now, I'm sure that Aaron would have been especially diligent in this duty after losing his two oldest sons. Now, Moses instructs Aaron on what he needs to do to complete his service to God. Moses instructs Aaron on all the things he is supposed to eat before leaving the tabernacle. Now, yes, Aaron and his sons are required to eat portions of the offerings in the tabernacle before leaving. Leviticus 10:12-13. And Moses spoke to Aaron and to Eleazar and Ithamar, his sons who were left. Take the grain offering that remains of the offerings made by fire to the Lord, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. You shall eat it in a holy place, because it is your due and your son's due of the sacrifices made by fire to the Lord, for so I have been commanded. At first glance, it seems that eating the grain offering is a reward of sorts. The New King James Version calls the priest's portion their due. The New International Version calls it their share, and the American Standard Version simply calls it their portion. The original Hebrew tells us a different story. The Hebrew word is kahok, number 2706, meaning to enact. As a noun, it is an enactment, an ordinance, a bound duty. Moses reinforces the importance of this act by saying that this is what God commanded him to tell Aaron. Eating the grain offering is part of the required duty of the priest. The offering is not complete without this action. It is both the right and the responsibility to eat this offering. Moses goes on to tell Aaron to eat the breast and the thigh that are waved before the Lord from the peace sacrifice. It is as if Moses is looking around and seeing what all needs to be completed. What he doesn't see is the sin offering that Aaron offered for the people. When he searched carefully for it, he finds that it had been entirely burned up. Leviticus 10, verse 16. Then Moses made careful inquiry about the goat of the sin offering, and there it was burned up. The procedure for bringing the sin offering varies according to what is brought and who brings it. In general, when a sin offering is brought for the entire nation, it is to be a young bull. However, this is specifically when the nation as a whole sins unintentionally, and the offering of a bull is made when the sin becomes known. Leviticus 4:13-14. Now, if the whole congregation of Israel sins unintentionally, and the thing is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done something against any of the commandments of the Lord in anything which should not be done, and are guilty, When the sin which they have committed becomes known, then the assembly shall offer a young bull for the sin, and bring it before the tabernacle of meeting. Aaron is to take the blood of this sin offering into the tabernacle and sprinkle it 7 times in front of the veil that covers the Holy of Holies. Since the blood is taken into the tabernacle, the portion of the bull that is not burnt on the burnt altar is to be taken outside the camp and burned. Aaron and his sons do not eat of this sin offering. Leviticus 6, verse 30. But no sin offering from which any of the blood is brought into the tabernacle of meeting to make atonement in the holy place shall be eaten. It shall be burned in the fire. In fact, Aaron and his sons do not eat any of the sin offering that would include them. They don't eat of the sin offering for any priest or for the whole congregation, the whole nation. Since the offering is, at least in part for them, they cannot act to eat that sin offering as God's representatives to accept that offering. Since the sin offering that Aaron brought was for the whole nation, we would have expected it to be a bull and not a goat, and we would expect that Aaron would have brought the blood into the tabernacle and sprinkled it before the veil. This is also the normal procedure for a priest bringing a sin offering for himself. Now, in this special sin offering that inaugurates Aaron's priesthood, the sin offering for the people is a goat, and we are told that Aaron offers it in the same way he offers the young bull for his own sin offering. Aaron puts the blood on the horns of the altar and pours the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. Leviticus 9, verse 9. Then the sons of Aaron brought the blood to him, and he dipped his finger in the blood and put it on the horns of the altar, and poured the blood at the base of the altar. Neither the blood for Aaron's sin offering nor the blood for the sin offering for the people was taken into the tabernacle. When the blood of the sin offering is not taken into the tabernacle, the sin offering is to be eaten by the priest who offers it. Leviticus 6, 26 through 29. The priest who offers it for sin shall eat it. In a holy place it shall be eaten, in the court of the tabernacle of meeting. Anyone who touches its flesh must be holy. And when its blood is sprinkled on any garment, you shall wash that on which it was sprinkled in a holy place. But the earthen vessel in which it is boiled shall be broken, and if it is boiled in a bronze pot, it shall be both scoured and rinsed in water. All the males among the priests may eat it. It is most holy. So, in this one instance, when Aaron begins his ministry, he is to eat the sin offering for the nation. Aaron and his 2 remaining sons, Eleazar and Phinehas, were to eat the minkah, the peace sacrifice, and the sin offering for the people. After Nadab and Abihu's death, they wanted to leave the tabernacle to mourn for Nadab and Abihu and leave the inaugural ceremony incomplete. Moses instructed them to eat the portions set aside for them, but they had already burned the rest of the sin offering. Moses was angry at them because it would leave the ceremony unfinished. Leviticus 10, verses 16 through 18. And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron who were left, saying, "Why have you not eaten the sin offering in a holy place, since it is most holy, and God has given it to you to bear the guilt of the congregation, to make atonement for them before the Lord? See, the blood was not brought inside the holy place. Indeed, you should have eaten it in a holy place, as I commanded." Moses was angry because eating the sin offering is part of bearing the guilt of the congregation and making atonement for them. Remember, the sin offering was to restore the fellowship between God and His already covenanted people, who were brought into the covenant first by the Passover sacrifice as they accepted God as their God, and second at Mount Sinai when they accepted God's covenant and He took them as His people. And we discussed this in our previous blog, The Lord's Passover Sacrifice. By eating the offering, the priests are satisfying God's acceptance of the offering. Leaving the sin offering uneaten leaves this process incomplete. Moses searched diligently for the sin offering so that this process could be completed. In Hebrew, the phrase careful inquiry is the phrase darosh darash, a repeat of the same words in different tenses. Literally, we read this passage as searching he searched. These two words are at the exact center of the Torah. There is the same number of words on either side of these repeated words. It is as if all the words of the Torah point to the need to search diligently for the sin offering. Aaron, as the grieving father, could not put aside his grief to participate in eating the sin offering. Leviticus 10, verses 19 through 20. And Aaron said to Moses, "Look, this day they have offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and such things have befallen me. If I had eaten the sin offering today, would it have been accepted in the sight of the Lord?" So when Moses heard that, he was content. Moses, and thus we assume God, accepted Aaron's explanation. God would see his own son die as all of the offerings together. He would surely understand Aaron's grief and inability to eat the sin offering with the right attitude. The writer of the book of Hebrews addresses Yeshua's death as the sin offering for the people, specifically addressing this issue of eating or not eating the sin offering. In the usual situation, the sin offering for the people would be taken outside the camp and burned. No one was to eat of that sin offering. There seems to have been a doctrine going around at that time that our sin offering through Yeshua was not complete without eating a certain food that symbolically represented the sin offering. Let's look at this situation in Hebrews 13, verse 9. "Do not be carried about with various and strange doctrines, for it is good that the heart be established by grace, not with foods which have not profited those who have been occupied with them." In other words, eating a specific food does not result in forgiveness of sin. The writer of Hebrews continues his explanation in verses 10 through 13. "We have an altar from which those who serve the tabernacle have no right to eat, for the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned outside the camp. Therefore Jesus also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered outside the gate. Therefore let us go forth to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach." Yeshua's offering for sin was an offering for all the people, so his blood was taken into the heavenly temple. The priesthood had no right to eat of the flesh of that sin offering. The word right comes from the Greek word exousia, number 1849, in the sense of an ability to or privilege. However, the word is translated as authority or power everywhere else in the New Testament. From the context, it corresponds to the Hebrew word kahot, which we learned earlier means ordinance. The priests have no ordinance to eat of the sin offering whose blood is taken into the tabernacle. Since the sin offering included them, they had no authority to eat it, that is, to accept or reject it. The sin offering is to be taken out of the camp and burned. As Aaron was given authority to eat the sin offering of his inauguration, to accept it on behalf of God, so Yeshua, in his inauguration as our high priest, has the authority to accept the sin offering for the nation. There is no intermediary between Yeshua's offering for sin and God's acceptance of it. Yeshua's sin offering is complete and accepted by God. Yeshua, as our high priest, is the one who brings his own blood into the Holy of Holies and accepts it under God's authority. Yeshua's death was a sin offering for all of those in covenant with him. It restores our fellowship with God when we sin. We are encouraged to seek Him out, searching for Him who is our sin offering. When we find Him, He is the one to whom we give praise. Hebrews 13, verse 15. Therefore, by Him, let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to God, that is, the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to His name. Yeshua, as our sin offering, was accepted and received by God. It was not through the mediation of any earthly priest, but through Yeshua laying down His life for us. He is both the offering and the priest bringing the offering on our behalf. We can be confident that His offering has been accepted by God and nothing has been left incomplete. Thanks for watching today. I'm Dan Cathcart, and this has been Shadows of the Messiah. Shalom, and be blessed.